This is Roman Novak, a self-proclaimed millionaire and crypto expert who just found out the hard way the dark side of scamming and flexing your millions online. Back in 2020, Novak was convicted of large-scale financial fraud in Russia. He ran a fake cryptocurrency exchange, tricking investors into buying into a platform that never delivered on payouts and, from what I could tell, didn't really exist at all. The Russian courts found that he misappropriated investor funds, meaning that he stole their money and used it for himself, promising high returns to the investors and security on the funds that just didn't exist. He was sentenced to 6 years in prison. So this wasn't just a little slap on the wrist you might see here in the US. No, he had serious prison time. But given that he was not a violent offender, Novak would be released 3 years later in 2023 on parole, and the very moment he was released, he immediately left Russia and relocated to the one, the only, I don't even have to say it, you already know what I'm going to say, Dubai, knowing he was still under suspicion from the Russian authorities, and probably didn't have a very good reputation back in St. Petersburg. Beyond that, Dubai is a brand new start. But most importantly, in Dubai, flexing all these riches and wealth, you just fit in. Now let's introduce Fintopio. Novak immediately jumped into a new crypto operation called Fintopio, which was marketed as the next generation fintech app. Fintech just means financial technology, and the idea was they would combine crypto investing, digital payments, and international remittance all together. He claimed low fee, ultra fast transactions, and blockchain-backed security, and even corporate partnerships, but none of those were ever confirmed. He often pitched this as a very exclusive opportunity, only available by invite or high-tier investors. Novak was just in prison for large-scale fraud, so how is it that he's going to go and convince people to sign up with a convicted fraudster who served time in prison? The answer is simple: fake credibility. He claimed to be friends with Pavel Durov, the founder of Telegram, which, in itself is a very popular platform for scamming anyway. Obviously, I know it's got legitimate uses, but in my experience, anything I've ever seen on Telegram has to do with a scam. He referred to having tech collaborations, but in vague terms. He name-dropped Amazon, Tencent, Binance, these popular brands everyone would recognize, without going as far as to say they have an actual partnership. If you're trying to convince someone, you say, yeah, Jeff Bezos, oh, hold on now, Jeff Bezos? Now this must be a serious person if he's affiliated in some way with Jeff Bezos. He also told people that he had Arab sheik investors backing him in Dubai, and he used this to appeal to both an international audience and to Russian elites. Is it true? Not at all. But the thing is, most of the time when you lie to someone, especially about something so elaborate, if you do it with confidence like Novak did, a majority of people will just take you at face value, and that's exactly what happened. Because the moment he went to Dubai, his lifestyle was his marketing strategy. He flooded Instagram with his villas, supercars, private jets. Now we already know today that's total BS. Dubai is a playground for scammers. Not everybody in Dubai is a scammer, obviously, but a lot of people do go there and run scams. But something I think that really helps Novak is, frankly, a lot of people, unless you're Russian or you're in that specific sphere of the world, I don't think they would really know who Novak is. And you're able to fly under the radar a little bit. Through these deceptions, Novak was able to raise around $500 million through Fintopio. Investors came primarily from Russia, which was his home base, but also other ones such as Ukraine, China, UAE, and Eastern Europe. Victims ranged from regular crypto enthusiasts to wealthy professionals to even law enforcement officers. Now, why you're going to go and try to scam law enforcement officers, it's beyond me. In early 2025, Fintopio abruptly paused, citing an internal review. Now that's never a good sign. I'm sure the investors were shaking in their boots. But the bigger issue here is that the Novaks disappeared. On October 2nd, 2025, Roman and Anna Novak, which is Roman Novak's wife, planned to attend a private investor meeting in Hatta. Have you ever heard of Hatta? I guarantee you haven't. Where is it? UAE, because no one's ever heard of anything in UAE besides Dubai and maybe Abu Dhabi, but you probably only know Abu Dhabi if you like racing. But to give you some reference, it's a mountainous region east of Dubai near the Oman border. They were told that this meeting was with some key backers interested in investing in Fintopio. Now you have to imagine someone running a scam thinking they're going to go meet with some big dogs. They're excited to go. The Novaks had a private driver, because obviously they're big ballers, and he dropped them off near a scenic dam in Hatta, where they're supposed to be. They were then picked up in a different vehicle by the arranged investors who had the vehicle there waiting for them. But instead of going to a meeting site, they were driven to a rented villa, which had been booked by one of the suspects under a faked name. Once they got to the villa, the real cards were put on the table. This was not a business arrangement. The Novaks were held hostage in this secluded rental off by themselves. The captors demanded access to Roman Novak's crypto wallets, believing he had access to tens of millions of dollars. But what we know is that Novak either stalled, refused to give the information, or genuinely didn't have access to it anymore. They were likely expecting to make tons and tons of money, given that Novak is flexing all this online. Realistically, you have to expect him to have a lot of money. This naturally infuriated the kidnappers because now they've committed a major crime, kidnapping these two people, and they don't have any money in the first place. So what do you do now? Do you let them go? However, the kidnappers were in too deep. They saw there was only one option left, and they tortured Anna and Roman Novak. The authorities were able to determine with autopsy data that within 24 hours of getting in that car, the Novaks were killed. Not only were they killed, they were dismembered brutally and left scattered in pieces. Where it really gets interesting is they found human remains in trash bins near a mall in Fujairah. Other body parts just scattered in remote desert areas. And the fact that they put this in mall trash bins, knowing it would smell, knowing it would get attention, makes it seem like they wanted the authorities to find this, but I don't know why they would want the authorities to find this. There was some speculation that Novak could potentially be faking his death to just take the money and run. However, after the bodies surfaced, the Russian authorities who took over this case did confirm this was the remains of Anna and Roman Novak. It's been rumored that Novak in Russia had scammed some individuals involved in some crime syndicates back home during his first scam, or maybe in this scam, or maybe even a third scam we don't know about, and that they were very upset about being scammed, and when they saw Novak on social media flaunting this, they made the move to hand out street justice. There were 7 individuals arrested in total, 2 Russian men from St. Petersburg, 1 Kazakh national, 1 ex-police homicide investigator, and 2 military veterans. So it's a wide group of people, but they were able to find them primarily because after this event occurred, they all slowly started returning to Russia. They used things like pinning down the rental information, pinging the phone locations to track all these people to the same general area. The cell phones of Roman and Anna Novak would actually move. They would go into Oman, the country right next door, and then go to South Africa. Whether someone actually went there and took those phones or it's just a diversion to try to trick law enforcement is unknown, but it did happen. It's also believed that there is still 1 suspect missing, possibly not from Russia. As of 2025, the Russian courts are handling the prosecution due to all the suspects being Russian nationals at this point. That other person is still at large. We don't know his nationality as of yet. Formal murder charges have been filed. They're expected to go to trial in 2026. This is not a country you want to be charged with murder in. Russia, they take this very seriously. Roman and Anna Novak's children have recently been placed with their relatives in Russia, and this marks the sad end to a scammer who dedicated his life to taking money from innocent people. And more than anything, this is a reminder, I think, that people who live this lifestyle don't always get away with it. They don't always ride into the sunset with their millions. Sometimes they end up on the wrong end of a news story like this. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please, if you could leave a like on my video, I'd appreciate that so much. We're trying to get to 10,000 subscribers. We're going to get there soon. Thank you guys so much.